and I just have this much left, so that's great. Start over from the beginning. So I regraded the whole thing. This guy, useless. Sunshine and water. But when I tried it on the first time, I was like, oof, it's very tight. I like something light, flowy, and kind of see-through. Cantalou. It's the magnum opus of my designing career. It's gonna be incredible. Hi, my name is Maya and welcome to episode 51 of my knitting podcast, where I show all my thoughts, process and other random stuff about all things fiber related, but mostly knitting. Today is the 6th of May 2025. I looked up the date before starting. And I'm coming to you from the French-speaking part of Switzerland, where I live with my gecko. Today's program, I have 2 finished objects. No, 3, but 2 are knitted and 1 is sewing. Ooh! And then I don't have a ton of works in progress because I finished them. I have 1 small thing, and then I'm gonna show you a swatch for my next cast on because it's very exciting. So let's start immediately with what I'm wearing, which is as always hidden behind my hair. So this is the Shine On You top. I called it like that. It used to be the diamonds top because it has the diamonds motif on the body, but it was a little bit too obvious and boring. And every time I say diamonds, for some reason I think of the song by Pink Floyd, Shine On You Crazy Diamond, and I figured Shine On You top was much cuter, so that's why it's the Shine On You top. This is my current design. I mean, the most recent, I would say. I don't know, whatever. The test call is currently up, so you can apply for that. I leave the link in the description box below, but I'll come back to that later. First, let me talk about the thing. So this is a summer top, a top sleeveless thing with a wide square neckline. It's a little bit too wide, but more on that later. And yeah, it's not particularly cropped, or I guess it is, but for me this is very long. My belly button is here. I'm wearing sweatpants as always, and it has some body shaping, and it has double knit details all around. Also on the back there, and the motif on the body goes all around the whole thing, so it's everywhere. Also on the hem, it's a folded over hem. It goes over until the edge, which I find quite cute. The motif, the diamond thing, I had the idea for this design years ago, as I already said multiple times in the previous episodes, and the original sample is here. And I knit this one in wool, so this is cropped, this is very cropped compared to this one, but this is a bit itchy, and it's wool, so it's warm. So I just wanted to knit another one in my size because this is also too small, using a wool that would, or not, a fiber that would be more suitable for summer. So I have no idea where the motif comes from. It was just too long ago. I think it was something like, there were a few, like, how are they called? Trellis motifs happening around with those sweaters that were becoming very trendy, the ones that have lots of different textures in bands on the body and on the sleeves, and they kind of all have the trellis motif at some point. I haven't knit any of them, but a lot of people said that the point where the cross were usually pretty difficult, and I think that's what sparked the idea to do a motif that didn't have anything crossing, so the traveling cables just stop, and then there's just stockinette, and then they start again. And it's easier to make, and it goes faster, and then you have some stockinette rows in the middle of the motif, and I just thought it was fun to knit and looked good. So that's why I did it. I think it was something like that. So, to make the new version, I wanted to use something that would not be itchy, wouldn't be too warm, and fingering weight. So that's why I used this yarn. This is a vegan wool, it's called like that because it's wool free, and it's designed to be a sock yarn because it's very elastic and it's very elastic without having any wool. So this is a mix of, I don't remember, I think it's cotton, viscose or something, and then there's some elastan kind of in it. This one is hand-dyed that I bought at the Swiss Yarn Festival. However, you cannot get this yarn online because I think the dyer doesn't have a web shop. She has a website, but you cannot get yarn on the website, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But I think if you look for wool-free sock yarns, you can find probably something. I don't know, I haven't tried. But you can find like Haiku Kobashi is the same thing, and then I also tried Bamboo Pop Sock by Universal Yarns. Those are the same kind of yarns. So the result is something extremely stretchy, it's very comfortable, it's absolutely not itchy at all. I am super sensitive and I cannot feel this, so that's great. And I don't know if it's like warm or not, because the weather suddenly got super cold since I finished this, so I haven't had the opportunity to wear it at all, so I don't really know. Right now I'm hot, but that's also because I have my hair down, and usually when I start talking I get hot, so I don't really know how it's supposed to wear on its own when it's really hot outside, but we will know later in the year, I guess. So yes, I wanted to say about the motif, you can do them either by cabling, like actually crossing the stitches between each other, or you can do mock cables technique, because I found out there are ways to do mock cables but result in exactly the same anatomy as an actual cable, except you don't have to cross the things. It's just that you need the stitches in a different order, but they stay on the needles. Anyway, it's a mock cable technique that results in a cable. So I'm gonna try and film a tutorial for all the different techniques you can use to achieve this result. So if you're afraid of cables or just prefer mock cables in general, this is gonna be a great one for you. And as I said, it's super easy to do. It's kind of the potato chippy kind of thing, because there is like a few rows of cabling and slip stitching, and then a few rows of just knitting, and then you start again, and you just want to get to the next point. So it goes pretty fast, I think. This one is the fingering weight version, and I also graded the pattern, I mean, into a DK weight version, because the gauge is pretty small, because you have slip stitches and cables. This one is 30 stitches per 10 centimeters, which is kind of small. And so I wanted to grade it into a bigger gauge, but it's not huge either. It's 26 stitches per 10 centimeters, and I did some swatchings. So let me show you. This is Holst Coast held double, so it's a wool and cotton blend, and this gauge is a little bit too loose. I think it's 25 stitches, and I mean, it would be great for just like a positive ease garment, it would be perfect, but this is negative ease. Yes, it's negative ease, by the way. And so this was a little bit too flimsy and see-through, and if you want to have it stretch over your body, the motif kind of gets distorted. I didn't like it, so I made another one. This is Holst Garn Duo. I just had a little bit of leftovers in my stash, and I am delighted to have used them for a swatch. And I just have this much left, so that's great. Anyway, Holst Garn Duo, and I knit this one on 3.75mm needles, and the gauge is a little bit better. Also, this yarn is a little bit thicker than the Holst Coast held double. And so this gauge is 26 stitches, and when you stretch it out, it looks a bit better, and it's gonna just fit nicely as a negative ease garment. You can push up to worsted weight, I think. This is a, I would say, DK, light DK. Yes, it's cotton and wool. But yeah, you could comfortably go up to worsted, I think, if you wanted to. So yes, two versions of the pattern. And I also did another fingering weight, because this is a very special yarn. As I mentioned, it's a wool-free, it has elastan, it has cotton and all that stuff in it, so I didn't really know if the gauge I was getting with this yarn would actually be the gauge you would get if you use a more standard, like sock yarn, superwash, merino thing. So I tried to swatch with a more standard yarn. This is a sock yarn, but it has silk. Yes, merino and silk. And I used a smaller needle just to see what would happen, and it behaved exactly the same as this one. So using the smaller needles, I got a smaller gauge. So if I had used the same needles as this one, which is the 3mm, I would have gotten the same gauge. So this yarn behaves the same as a normal sock yarn, which is good to know. And just if you want to see, so this is very dense and very thick. It almost doesn't move at all in this direction, and here I think it looks nice. This would have been fine actually to make the garment, so if you want to, you can size down and get a denser fabric. And I did include in the pattern, as I seem to do a lot lately in my patterns, detailed guidance on how to do the math if you want to use a different gauge than the ones in the pattern, so either 30 stitches or 26 stitches. If you have like 22 stitches or if you have 34 stitches, you can do math, just follow the instructions and do the math to know which size you need to cast on with your gauge to knit a garment that will actually fit you. And since it has negative ease it's a little bit different than positive ease. If you need like more than just a few centimeters or inches, you should use a percentage of negative ease. For example, this is designed to have 5 to 15% of negative ease, so a little bit, but not too much. Usually I like to go to 20% of negative ease, but I didn't want it to go too far with this one. So 5 to 15% of negative ease. Because for example for me, for my bust, I would need, I don't know, I'm just making up stuff, like 7 centimeters of negative ease, which is 3 inches. But for example, someone that has a bust that's twice as big as me would need twice as much negative ease. So that would be like 15 centimeters or 6 inches. Because if you look at it the other way around, if I said, for example, you need 7 centimeters of negative ease for all the sizes, it would mean that something that's quite fitted for me and has 10% of negative ease would be almost the same size as the actual bust of someone that has twice the full bust size as me, which means it wouldn't be very fitted at all. It would have hardly any negative ease, so it just wouldn't fit the same way. So I also included in the pattern all the guidance on how to do the math, on how to know how much negative ease you want, and then select the size from there. So there is one important thing also, is that I wanted this pattern to be bra friendly, because the pattern I did before that has just the spaghetti straps, which was not covering anything, so I wanted this one to be a little bit more bra friendly. But as you can see, I don't wear bras, so I don't really, it's not up there in my mind what a pattern or a design needs to have as characteristics to be actually bra friendly. And it's only when I finished my sample, the tech editing, the grading, everything was completely done. I was about to send out the test call, and I just wanted to take the pictures for the test call. And I tried it on, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, it's very wide. It's gorgeous, it looks very classy and elegant, and it opens up this area. But if you wear a bra, the straps are there. They are not there. So this is not bra friendly at all, despite the thick straps. But I realized that at the end. So I was like, okay, if I pinch out one pattern repeat, because all the sizing is done depending on how wide one pattern is. So if I pinch out one pattern repeat on the front, because I cannot go half a pattern repeat, suddenly it's bra friendly, because that's where the bra straps are. So I thought about it for a while, and I finally decided to start over from the beginning. So I regraded the whole thing, everything, all the sizes. I regraded them all so that they would have a narrower front, which means I had to add the width somewhere, because if I remove width here, I have to add it somewhere else, otherwise you are just knitting a size down. Fortunately, it's always faster to do the second time around, so it didn't take too long, but yeah. Sunday and yesterday were pretty hardcore Excel sheet work, but I did it and now it works. So it's with my tech editor. It should be good. The total bust circumference haven't changed at all. I just had to shuffle around how the motifs are distributed, but yeah, the full bust haven't changed at all. So I could still go ahead with the test call. But yeah, I had to do that, so I just want you to be really aware that this is rough-handly, and I put a lot of effort into it, so I hope you'll appreciate it. Anyway, I was talking about the pattern repeats, and as I said, the sizes are dictated by the number of pattern repeats. Basically, each size has 2 pattern repeats of difference between them, which means that the fingering weight version has 12 sizes and the DK weight has 10 sizes. That's because for the DK gauge, it happens that 2 pattern repeats are 10 centimeters about. So that's perfect for grading. Usually there are 10 centimeter difference between sizes, but for the fingering weight, it doesn't work like that because each pattern repeat is more like, I don't know, 8 centimeters or something, which means that the difference between sizes are a bit smaller. So if you want to cover the whole size range to be size inclusive, which this one is, you need more sizes than 10, which is why I have 12. I think when this happens for other designers in general, they usually just randomly remove some sizes, which means that if you look at the size range of a pattern, suddenly there's like a 20 centimeters gap between 2 sizes, and all the sizes after that are only like 8 or a few centimeters difference, and the size range is just very... it's not linear at all, and I could have done that to have 10 sizes, but it felt super wrong, so I decided to go to the trouble of having 12 sizes. I will admit it's a little bit annoying because when you read the numbers in the pattern, 9 or 10 numbers in a row is already a bit difficult, but 12 is kind of annoying. I have to admit it. However, it felt more wrong to just remove 2 sizes just for the sake of what? than to have a bit more numbers in the pattern. That's it. So now the question is, will I redo my own sample to fit the new grading of the pattern, which this is size 2 and I should have one less pattern on the front, as I said, and a bit more at the underarms. I don't know. The problem is that the photo shoot with my photographer for this guy is set up for tomorrow, so I obviously don't have the time to start over for tomorrow, and of course since it's knit top down, this is the very first step of the design, so I would have to undo like everything to start over this part. I don't have the time. So I'm gonna just do the photo shoot with this one. If I'm slightly to the side, you just absolutely cannot tell, and also the difference is kind of small in the end, so you really can't tell. So I will just avoid front-facing pictures and should be good like that. But there are a few other things in the pattern in this particular sample that I'm not 100% happy about. For example, the body shaping. So this is included in the pattern since it's supposed to be fitted. If you need to have a smaller waist than bust, there is body shaping in the pattern. There is this detail on the side here with the slip stitch to do the increases around. Decreases or increases, it depends. Everything is in the pattern. If you want to do increases, you can. And I think I went a little bit too far because, I don't know, I just went a bit too far. So this is fine, this particular spot is fine when I wear it, but it's a bit difficult to remove. It's just too small to go over my shoulders. So I just would like to add a little bit more width here, and also I did the increases here a bit too fast. So I have like a mini peplum, which is cute, but it's not what I want. So I would need to increase less fast in this section, and then I did the bottom hem a bit too deep, and I would like to remove the pearl row I did here on the fold, because on the first version I did, it's a bit narrower, and I don't have the pearl row, and I just think in this particular situation it looks better. Usually I prefer having the pearl row on the fold, but here I don't. So I just want to do these small little changes, and that means I have to start over. But we will see. It's perfectly wearable, and again, as I don't wear a bra, I don't really care if this is closer or not, so I will have to see. Because also it's gonna be after the pictures, so I'm not gonna take other pattern pictures for this one, unless I do another photo shoot before the release, but I don't think so. So yeah, it's very unlikely, but in a perfect world, I would redo this guy, but I'm not sure we are in a perfect world. Just for your information, I used about 520 meters for this sample. That's probably 570 yards, I think, something. And let's do a little game. How much yarn do you think I use for the straps? Not this guy, just the straps. So also the straps are made in one go, which I'm really proud about. It's super satisfying to do. So you cast on one strap at the back here. It's not attached. I have a pin because I need to film a tutorial to attach the strap, but I haven't filmed it yet and I don't want to do it twice. So you have a pin. You cast on the strap and then you do double knitting for the whole thing until you reach this point. And then you start doing an applied double knit band here all along and then along the whole back until you get to the other side, and then you go up and then you stop the applied I-cord and you work again a simple, it's not an I-cord, double knit band. You knit double knitting for the other strap until you reach the bottom here, and then you attach the strap to the back. How much yarn do you think this used? So it's double knitting, so double layer. I was surprised. I knew it would use more than the usual like I-cord edging or strap, of course, because it's double knitting, but it used a lot more than I thought. So the total for this guy was like 150 grams. So how much of that do you think I used for the straps? Are you ready? Do you have your guess? I used 25 grams. That's like a quarter of a skein. A whole 25 grams went into just the straps and the applied thing. That's a lot. So I'm glad I did the calculation, because before I started I was like, do I wait or not? It's just for fun, it's pretty useless, I'm not going to put that in the patterns. But I decided to do it, so I took out my scale and I measured everything, and I measured again at the end, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. Anyway, just a fun fact. Editing Maya. Not a fun fact. I forgot to tell you something important. There are bust darts in the pattern, and they are horizontal bust darts. I did receive a question in the test application form. Someone left a comment asking why are there bust darts if the design is supposed to be fitted over the bust, because I think they assume the bust darts are there to add circumference to the bust, which can be true, but not always. There are different types of bust darts, and the vertical bust darts, for example, let's say you cast on at the bottom, at the hem, and you knit up. Vertical bust darts are where you do increases over the bust, and then you do decreases once you are past the curve of the bust. In this case, you do add circumference because you are increasing the number of stitches you have, but those are vertical bust darts. The ones I have in the pattern are horizontal bust darts. So the way you work them is you work in the round, and then you stop when you reach the apex, for example. You start working flat, which means you are doing short rows. When you do short rows, you don't change the total stitch count, but you are adding fabric to the height of your garment. So you don't add circumference, but you add fabric there, so that you can actually cover the extra tissue of the bust you want to cover. So they do the same, they add fabric, but they add it in a slightly different way. I will put an article about that in the description box that explains that very well with the swatches and everything, so you can see the shape of how different kind of darts work. Yes. And so I have horizontal bust darts in the pattern, so they work with short rows at the bust, and I did include them in my sample, even though I don't need them, so that you can see what it looks like. I will try to put a picture, because since the motif, the diamond motif, are, well, continuous, if you do short rows on the sides where you mess up because you do shorter rows, you get to a point where the motif is offset on the sides compared to where you are in the middle, because you have more fabric in the middle than on the sides where you are doing the turns. So you have this weird effect where if you took the... Wait. I don't need to insert a picture, I can just show you. Sorry, the lighting is weird, but maybe if I... maybe. So the motif, the diamonds, are continuous here, but I have a short row, for example, on the side here, and you can see there is something happening. So this is continuous, but here this one is interrupted and it starts over a bit later in the pattern because this is lacking a little triangle of fabric. If I take it somewhere else, for example here, and I pinch out some fabric, that's difficult to do with one hand. I pinch out some fabric there, the same happens. So I have the motif that's continuous and then it's interrupted and it starts again a bit later in the motif. But here it's continuous. So that's exactly what a horizontal short row does. So that's what happens there. So you're not adding anything to the circumference, you are just adding more fabric into the front of your garment to cover your bust. Again, I don't need them, but I wanted to show you what it can look like. Then even if the pattern is interrupted, it's not the end of the world. You can see it, but it's not, I mean, you probably didn't notice anything in the one I was wearing, even though this is here. So I wanted to use this as a cobaye, as I'm gonna talk about right after this, to just test out the technique and show knitters what it's gonna look like. The result is that the front, for me, since I didn't really needed any extra fabric, the front neckline is coming too high. I'm watching here because the screen is here. Here, this part, it's supposed to be a little bit lower, but since I have extra fabric, then it comes up. It's just how it is. If you want the neckline to be a little bit less deep or low, you can add the short rows. Or you can just do the straps shorter, but then the underarm will come up. Anyway, just wanted to explain that. I will let you go back to present Maya. The last thing I wanted to mention is regarding the shaping here. So I have one side, I decided to use this as a cobaye. It looks a bit weird in real life, but if I don't point it out, I don't think you can see, but yeah, I did something a bit weird. Because you have the diamond motif and then you have the shaping here, so you can either... What's this side? Yeah, this is the side where I decided to just stop each motif when it was about to collide with the middle column of slip stitches, so the diamonds just stop when they touch this. So you have some holes happening. It's not particularly visible, I think. It doesn't look bad or whatever. It's just... yeah, the diamonds are interrupted. And on the other side, I did differently. So in this case, when the traveling cable of a diamond collides with the underarm slip stitch column, it collides. And when there is a cable coming out from the column, well, it comes out of the column. So in this case, I didn't stop anything and the motifs kind of go in and out of this thing, and on this side it doesn't. So yes, my piece is not symmetrical, but if I hadn't pointed out, you wouldn't have known. And I wanted to do this so that in the pattern I could explain both situations and show pictures of both situations so that you could decide which one you would wanted to do. Of course, this one is a lot easier to make, but I guess some people don't really like the look. So if you would like to do this version, it's explained. It's not detail explained, like it's not a row by row explanation, but it's general guidance on how to do it. And I really wanted to include pictures because it's kind of difficult to imagine. This is the type of thing where you really need a lot of imagination to see how it's going to look like, so I thought it was important to have pictures. I think that's all for this one. So as I said, the test call is up. I will put the link in the description box below. You can still apply until the 9th of May, so this Friday, and then I will select the testers and contact them by email. Sizes 2 to 4, I looked today, they were already full, so I think I'm gonna close the sizes. I'm gonna publish this video tomorrow, so I think by tomorrow it's gonna be closed. So sorry if you're in those sizes, but yeah, I always struggle so bad because I end up with like 30 applicants for size 2 and 3, and then it takes me ages to select people, and then I feel so bad because there are so many people that I cannot choose. So yeah, it's just, I don't need the added stress and pressure in my life, so I'm just gonna close the sizes early, even though I don't really like to do that, because it means that people that apply earlier have more chance of being selected, which I don't really like in the concept. I don't do chronological selecting, so yeah, but unfortunately I really have to make things a bit easier for myself as well. Okay, let me go straight to the next finished object, which is also a design of mine, and this is the thing I mentioned earlier that wasn't bra friendly. So this is the Olympic camisole. It has elastics in the strap, so I'm just doing this all the time. Yes. So this is the Olympic camisole, and it's just a very simple triangular cups camisole, except this one has crossing straps. There are two versions in the pattern, so this one is the crossing straps version, like this. And it also has elastics on the back here, which is why it's doing this, but it's because that way it's a bit more comfortable to wear. And this one is knit using a linen and silk blend, so it has a very lovely drape. And this is the DK weight version, because again, as this pattern does, this one has a fingering weight and the DK weight versions, because the fingering weight version is very small, and again, I know people don't necessarily like such small gauges, so the fingering is 28 stitches and the DK is 20. And it was my first time doing that, so I couldn't really knew before, but now I know I really don't like the DK version of such a pattern. I have a lot of fingering weight versions that I absolutely love, and I wear them all the time, and they are just staples in my wardrobe. This guy, useless. I just don't need something that's this thick and heavy. It's still very drapey, as you can see. It's really lovely, but I just don't wear DK stuff. I just don't like thick fabrics like that. I just prefer fingering weight. And one thing that kind of pushed me or encouraged me to do the DK version is because there was the pattern, and I figured I probably needed to show people a fingering version and a DK version. But I've been thinking about that quite a bit, and I decided that no, I don't. Especially since this is just stockinette, so the only difference is like the size of the stitches between the two versions, and I don't need to do a whole other version to have something in my wardrobe that I'm not gonna wear and I don't like, and that's useless just to take pictures for the pattern. That's completely dumb. So I did it once, and now I will know I won't do it again, which means that for this one we are only gonna have the fingering version, and for probably all other patterns that I do that have two gauges, I'm only gonna do one version. Sorry. But that's also why we have testers, and so that you can see with the testers pictures what each gauge looks like, and I don't need to be the one having the two different gauges. So, how does this one fit? Very well. It's great actually, and it's just a matter of Switzerland is warm. It's very hot in the summer. We are very close to like Italy, for example, or south of France, so even though Switzerland is like mountain and skiing and snow and everything, it's very hot in the summer. But it fits very well, it's very comfortable. I actually wore it in the video I posted last week, which is not knitting related, but it's a sewing video. I'm gonna talk about it later again because I'm gonna show you what I did in the video. But yeah, I was wearing this guy, and I wanted to do that because I like to wear a garment for a whole day before deciding if I like it or not. In this case, it's because I wasn't really sure of the tension in the straps because I added the elastics. But when I tried it on the first time, I was like, oof, it's very tight. It was coming really high under my armpits, and it wasn't very comfortable, and I was always like putting it down. I should maybe put it on. This is ugly. Yeah, you get the idea. So it's coming very high, much higher than this one, as you can tell, because of the elastics, and I just wanted to know if it was too high or not, if I needed to lengthen the elastic or maybe just remove them completely. So I wanted to wear it for a whole day, and I just happened to be filming a video on that day, so... And I'm happy to report that it's fitting just fine. The straps are not too short. I actually, after a few minutes, like 10-15 minutes, I just completely forget it's there, and I completely forget about the fit. It's great. It's a bit high, but it's not bothering me. I don't pull on it constantly during the day, I just forget it's there. So it's perfect. which is nice, because at least this time I don't have to go back and redo something. But I'm also not... I'm gonna try to hide the blue thing. I don't really like this color on me. It's very close to my skin tone, but not in a flattering way. I don't know, it kind of washes me out, I think. I'm just not a fan. I thought beiges were supposed to fit me, that's what I had been told, but I don't think so. I think I would... This is even worse, but... yeah, I had two skins, one full skin of the beige, one full skin of the green. I told you already about my decision process thing to use the skins together without just doing stripes or color blocking. So I did both. But I know the beige would fit me better than the green, so that's why I put the beige on top. But I don't think it's looking so great either. So I don't know. It's also one of the reasons why I'm not super convinced by this piece, is because I just don't really like the color. Or maybe it's good and it's just me and I'm not used to lighter tones and I'm just obsessed with blues. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Does this fit me or not? I don't know. This is kind of... It's a win in the sense that the knitting in itself is great, it's fitting great, it's perfect, I don't have anything to add about it. But it's just too thick. I don't really like wearing something this heavy on me. I like something light and flowy and kind of see-through. So yes, win and fail at the same time. Which does mean that maybe one day in the future I'm just gonna unravel this guy and use the yarn for something else, because this... It's wearable, but I don't need it. I would be perfectly fine if I didn't have this in my wardrobe. So, and the yarn was expensive and it's very lovely. So I don't know. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about the thing I mentioned, which is the sewing. Because I did film last week a sewing video. I tried for the first time to sew a garment following a pattern. I have sewn in the past, but it was completely freestyle and random. But for the first time I tried to follow a pattern and it's incredible. I'm so proud of the result. It's like... It's gorgeous. I don't have anything else to say. It's a pair of shorts. It's the Budelli shorts by Olann Patterns. She's a French maker. I think she's pretty well known. And this was said to be a pretty easy pattern, like good for beginners, because it's elasticated in the waist, so it means it's very big, so it doesn't really need to fit you, because it's bigger than you anyway. And the fit is made with the elastics, so you have kind of a bit of a breathing room. And it has pockets. Look at that. There are pockets. I'm so proud. And the fabric I used is a viscose fabric, so it's very flowy, it's very drapey, it's really gorgeous, and it just looks like a skirt, a skater style skirt, which, if you know me, you know I love. And it basically is all the good things in a skirt, except it's a short and it has pockets, so what could I ask for more? So yeah, I did that last week, and I really recommend you go and watch the video, because, not to brag, but it's hilarious. Even if you're not at all into sewing content, I guess most of you are not. I knew the video would kind of tank. I knew it would get a lot less views than the usual podcast or knitting content, but I didn't think it would be this bad. So even if you're not into sewing, I really recommend you go and watch the video, because it's just really fun. I'm gonna try and put the intro I did of the video, because yeah, it sums up pretty well what's happening in the whole thing, and it's really funny, and if it can encourage you to go and watch the video, well, that's good. So I'm gonna show that now. And also it's scary because I have never followed a sewing pattern, and this is the dark side. The dark side of the bird. I already went wrong times. Oh, fabric. Oh, there is a free video tutorial on YouTube, and I was like, what? And my machine doesn't work. It's not aligning. Look at that! Every time I watch this, it just makes me laugh. It's just so fun. The other reason I wanted to do this is because if you saw my spring knitting plans video, you know I'm planning to knit shorts, and I just wanted to have a little bit more experience in that because I have never made shorts. So now I know at least a little bit about the anatomy of the crotch and all of that, so I just gained a little bit more knowledge, and I love that. You also probably noticed that I changed the intro of this podcast because I've been thinking about it for a good while, a few months, probably even more. And the intro of the podcast, where there was the cute music with the lakeside and mountains video, I love the video, I love the music, but the music didn't really feel me. Like, it was very cute and whimsical and light-hearted and kind of calm, which isn't exactly my vibe. I think I'm more random and excited in general and kind of bold and I guess fun. So yeah, the music wasn't really suiting, I think, the kind of content you see in the rest of the videos. It's been a while, I wanted to change it for a while, and I really loved the type of intro where people show extracts of the video, which is what I just did for the sewing video I showed you just before. And I just really love this, and it's been a while, I wanted to do it, and I tried it in the sewing video, and the result is so good. I'm so proud of this intro, so yeah, I decided to switch for the podcast. I hope you like it, and I like doing it, so I'm not gonna go back, but yeah, just a change I wanted to mention. Maya from the future, I got so excited that I forgot to tell you about my only work in progress. Here it is. I already showed this last time and I haven't made a ton of progress. I think I was like here. This is supposed to be a hair bow, similar to the Augustine's number 22 thing, except this one is knit from tip to tip. I'm just improvising. I had some leftovers from another project, and it's handspun. It's very drapey, very beautiful, very precious, very handspun, not by me. So I just wanted to use everything. So I cast on at the tip here, I did increases, and then I'm just knitting straight until I almost finish everything. And I hope I'm gonna get a ribbon that's about this long, and that way I can fold it nicely and do a hair thing. And you can maybe tell, at the beginning here, I did some slip stitches on the sides. It was incredibly annoying to do. Basically it was an I-cord, so every 2 rows I was slipping 2 stitches on each side. But I'm knitting in a round. I have no easy way to tell, is this the round where I'm supposed to slip or the round where I'm supposed to knit? And I could never remember, and I always had to stop, look at my knitting and see, oh yeah, I just slipped before, so now I need to knit every time. And it was so annoying, so I just stopped. Here I just switched to not slipping the stitches on the sides. I don't know which one looks better. I don't think it makes a huge difference. You can definitely tell. So what I think I'm gonna do is do most of the ribbon without the slip stitches, and when I get back, when I have not much left, I'm gonna start again, and that way the ribbon is gonna have the slip stitches on the sides that fall down, on both sides, and the ribbon in itself is not gonna have the slip stitches. And I hope it's gonna look okay. I think it will. And it's just a hair ribbon. Nobody's gonna look at it this close to see if it's the same all around. It's not going very far because this is an emergency project. I just threw it in my bag whenever I have to go out, and I don't want to knit on something too complicated when this was my only work in progress. So I did do a little bit of progress, but not much. But this is perfect because it's very small. I'm just gonna keep this as an emergency project until it's done, basically. So I don't think I'm gonna show this again until it's finished, so last time you see this work in progress, it's probably gonna take ages. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm gonna finish it while I edit the video. Who knows? Anyway, I will now let you go back to present Maya with the very exciting, not yet work in progress. Let's talk about something very exciting. In February, I have talked about a design idea I had, and I wanted to submit it for a publication. And I had asked on Instagram for recommendations for yarns that would be blends of cotton and wool, and B, ideally woolen spun, which means very lofty and airy and lightweight, so drapey, but not too drapey, like not alpaca drapey or not silk or linen drapey. And I received a ton of suggestions, great suggestions, but the one I decided to go with was Holst Coast, which is a wool and cotton blend, and it's very, very, very thin, but you can knit it at a pretty big gauge and the yarn kind of poofs up and blooms with the blocking, and it gives you something very lightweight, which is what I wanted for a summer garment, because it's for a summer garment. But it also still has a bit of integrity, and the fabric kind of stands up for itself, and it's not too drapey and shapeless. So I went with Holst Coast. And wait, I forgot the swatch I wanted to show. I went to my local yarn shop to buy some Holst Coast because they had some, and I didn't have the time to order online before the publication call for designs deadline. And so yeah, I went to my local yarn shop to select the yarn, and I couldn't really get what I wanted. What I really wanted was black and white, because it's, you're gonna see later why, but I wanted black and white, but they didn't have white. So I had to choose something else, and it was hot, there were people in the shop, and it stressed me out, and I don't really like going in the yarn shop, I think, if there are other people there, because it stresses me out. So I decided to go with kind of random colors, which I'm not really convinced about, but it was just for a swatch. And I trust the people in the publication team to be able to detach themselves from colors of a swatch to see the real idea of the design. Anyway, I did the swatch, and let me show you what it is. You cannot see anything. It looks very strange. This is a mini sleeve of a t-shirt, and the main design feature is that there is this kind of roll tube thing that's very thin at the underarm, and it goes wider and wider at the top, and it goes all the way around the sleeve. This is supposed to be an oversized t-shirt with the like drop shoulder fit, and the seam is supposed to be down there here, and this is not my size. This is like, I would say, 2/3 of reality, so I can put it on, but it's not supposed to be this small. Imagine this, but oversized, so bigger than me. So the sleeve is supposed to be like down here, and then you imagine the seam falling here. I did a drawing, let me show you the drawing, to showcase the kind of idea. So it's very modern and graphic, with the two bold lines on the shoulder, like contouring the body, and I just think it's very easy but striking, and I was just really proud of the idea, which made me kind of want to not be selected, because I really wanted to go ahead and knit the thing, because I was super excited about the idea, and I kind of regretted just sending it to the publication, but fortunately it wasn't selected. Which means I could go ahead and select real colors I really wanted to make this. And I figured black and white was just not fun. I just wanted colors. So I went on Holst website to select the colors, and I struggled. I struggled so bad. Because, of course, the colors on the monitor are absolutely not the real colors of the yarns. And between my computer screen and my phone screen and my tablet screen, the colors were always different, so I had no idea what they actually looked like. And I tried going on Ravelry to see people's projects using this yarn and seeing what kind of color combination they did, to see if maybe I could find the ones I was planning to do. And I did find a few ones, and it did help me a little bit to see how the colors would interact, but it was super painful. So I ended up asking again on Instagram for your guidance. And you may remember, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I did a poll and I asked if you prefer the petrol and orange or the cobalt blue and orange. And the vast majority of you voted for the petrol and orange, so that's what I got. And they look so cute. Someone did actually make a project using those two colors, and it didn't look that great, but the picture was really bad, so maybe it's why. and someone else did the project using the cobalt and the orange, and it looked beautiful, but the picture was really good, so it was kind of misleading. And the problem also, a few people mentioned that orange, this type of orange and blue was very close to IKEA colors. And it's true, because I wanted a darker blue, and the blue that was available on the website seemed to be too light, but I didn't really know because it was on the website, so I couldn't tell. Anyway, I decided to go with this. It's just very summery and cute. It's a bit less classy and elegant than the cobalt blue, but it's very summery. It's like sunshine and water. I just love it. And also, I have knit in the past a t-shirt in this color, but it used the wool that's super itchy. I just couldn't wear it, so I've always been wanting to replace this t-shirt, so this is the perfect opportunity. Anyway, so this is the two colors I chose to do this. So the main color is going to be the petrol. This is petrol, and this is cantalou. I don't know if it's cantalou, but in French it would be cantalou. So the body is turquoise, and then the detail would be in this orange color. I think it's gonna be super fun. I'm super excited. So this is a swatch I did using the petrol, and this time, so the swatch, this one is DK weight, so I held it double, and then for this detail I held the yarn single, so it's a nice DK weight fabric. It's still quite thin because, as I said, Holst Garn is very thin. It's like 350 meters per 50 grams, so that's 383 yards, so it's very thin. So this is a great DK gauge. It's lightweight, but it's DK, so it goes fast. But that's DK. I don't need a DK t-shirt in my life. So I did a swatch using it single, and wow, this is gorgeous. It's like exactly what I wanted. The fabric is very drapey, it's super thin and lightweight. It's gonna be incredibly breathable, and next to skin soft, this is gorgeous. And it's not see-through either. I mean, kind of if I hold it like this, but here it's not. And it's a fingering. I love it. This is on 3mm needles. I think the gauge is like 29 stitches. But this is knit flat, and I knit tighter when I knit flat than knit round. So I think we're gonna hit 28 stitches. So I'm so excited. I just want to have this finished, like right now. It's gonna be so perfect. I haven't told you about the name. Let me explain. The name of the tea is the Nuit Blanche Tee. This is French. Nuit Blanche means, it's kind of a saying that means sleepless night. And if you translate it literally, nuit is night and blanche is white. So it would be white night tea. But nuit blanche really means sleepless. It's like when you just don't sleep at all during the night. And I thought it's just a cute word, cute words together, because nuit is usually black and blanche is white. So it's just, there is a fun oxymoron happening here. And I thought it worked really great for this pattern, because you have the contrast of the nuit, the black, and then the blanche, or the blanche and the nuit, whatever. I just thought it really suited the design pretty well, and it's kind of poetic and it's cute, but yeah, it's so lovely. One funny thing though is that when I knit the swatch, it was almost square, not completely but almost, and it shrunk with blocking. So this is wet blocked, and the stitch gauge elongated, that's pretty normal, but the row gauge shrunk. So we will see what happens in the pattern, but I will need to keep an eye on that. Going back on what I was talking about earlier, which is I hated the process of having to select the colors on the website, I took the opportunity that I was ordering on Holst website to buy shade cards. So they are in the plastic still, but I got myself the ones for Coast. Ooh, there's just a, yes, Coast. There are 3 cards in there, so now I have all the colors of Holst Coast together, and next time I want to choose a color, because I really love this yarn and I'm definitely gonna make more garments with it. I have the colors here, so I don't struggle this much with the website colors. So I took this one, and I also bought the super soft. There are 4 cards in there, so a bit more colors, because I love super soft as well, and I would really like to make garments with it in the future. So again, I bought the shade card. And I also got tights. This one has only 2, because this is the silk and wool, and I really love the heathered look of this yarn, because the silk doesn't take the dye the same way as the wool does. It's a little bit of the same in the Holst, but in the coast, but it's more visible in this one, because I love silk and wool together. So I also bought this one. And the last one I got, Cielo. It has nothing to do with the others. This one is it's not blown yarn, it's more of a chained style, but it's very, very lofty. It's kind of a iron bulky weight, I guess. I don't know, I haven't worked with it. But there's something coming that's very exciting. Only one person knows about it, and if you know, you know. It's a design that's coming, I think I will start it next month, and I'm using a kind of, it has a thick gauge, and I need something fluffy, like either a boucle or something like that, that's fluffy and airy. And it's a color work, so I needed the color shades. I don't think I'm gonna do a sample in Cielo, but in case I do, it's here. It's like, it's the magnum opus of my designing career. It's gonna be incredible. If you know, you know. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thanks for listening to me. Coming up, well, not coming up, but the test call for the Shine On You top is still up, so you can apply for that if you're interested. And the Nuit Blanche Tee is coming, and the photo shoot tomorrow, but I don't know because of the weather. It's supposed to be a very summery and fun and like sunny thing, because I'm gonna have all the summer garments to take in pictures, but if it rains, that's not gonna be great. So anyway, we will see if it happens or not. And I also have the melon sweater that's coming out in 2 weeks. So the test call is finally coming to an end. It lasted for 3 months. Most people are on the last stretch of their sample. A few are already finished. They're beautiful. So yeah, that's coming up. Get ready for that. And there are so many exciting things. Tomorrow I will receive my spinning wheel, my first electric spinning wheel. I'm so excited. I've been wanting to have one for years, but I never bought one because it's expensive and I thought I didn't have the time. And I don't have the time, but I really want to try spinning, like, so bad. So tomorrow I'm getting my wheel. I asked my parents to gift one for me for my 30th birthday, and it arrived. So I have the fiber here. This is Corriedale fiber. This is from Sidispinnt. This one is just Corriedale undyed, natural color, beautiful. And this one is Yarnadelic by John Arbon, I think. Yes. And I'm just so excited. Maybe they are a little bit too precious for a first spin, but I don't care. And I think I'm gonna film next week. I'm gonna film a video similar to the one where I sewed the shorts for the first time. It was fun because I had no idea what I was doing, which is why it ended up pretty, like, comical. And with spinning it's gonna be the same. I have no idea what I'm doing, I just know the concept and I know how it's supposed to work, but I don't know how to do it. So I'm gonna film the process again, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be fun again. So even if you're not into spinning, I encourage you to come and watch that next week. I'm so excited! That's it for me, and the battery is running out, so that's perfect. Thanks for watching, thanks for being here, I love you, thanks for your comments, thanks for your likes, and don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on any future content I may put out. I hope you liked it, happy knitting, and see you next time, bye!